Nancy Craddock was 47 years old when she vanished in late May of 1980. She was a wife and a mother. And she was also a woman known for her intellect and interests, particularly in the arts and politics. People who shared space with Nancy understood her as someone engaged with ideas and the world around her, not someone drifting away from her life without explanation. Nancy lived with her husband, Wayne Craddock, in the Taos area of northern New Mexico, connected to the community of Ranchos de Taos. By the end of May 1980, a trip was planned that would take Nancy away from New Mexico, at least temporarily, to visit family. She had a destination. She had an expectation waiting for her on the other side, and then suddenly she was gone. Welcome to Fatal Secrets of True Crime, where details matter. Please like, comment, and subscribe. On May 29, 1980, Nancy and Wayne left their Taos area home together. They traveled to Amarillo, Texas, because Nancy was scheduled to catch a flight from the airport there. The plan was for Nancy to fly to Dallas, Texas, and then continue on to stay with family members. That expectation matters in a missing persons case. Nancy wasn't described as disappearing from an unknown location with no plan. She was expected somewhere specific by people who were ready to see her. But she never arrived. The Amarillo airport is the last publicly confirmed anchor point in Nancy Craddock's known movements. Nancy was scheduled to take a flight to Dallas. What happened after that point is the core mystery of this unsolved disappearance. Nancy never arrived at the family members' homes she was expected to reach. There were no confirmed reunions, no verified check-ins, and no clear, reliable trail that placed her safely in Dallas or beyond. From an investigative standpoint, this creates two competing possibilities that have haunted the case ever since. Either Nancy's disappearance occurred somewhere in the travel window connected to that airport plan, or the travel narrative itself does not reflect what truly happened that night. In the early part of June 1980, Wayne contacted other family members looking for Nancy. This is the moment when the situation shifted from delayed arrival to urgent concern. No one had seen her, no one had heard from her, and the relatives who expected Nancy to arrive had nothing to report, because she never showed up. In many missing persons cases, those first days shape everything. A missed arrival is often the first concrete sign that something is wrong. And when an adult disappears without confirmed follow-up contact, the unanswered questions expand quickly. As time passed, one detail remained stubbornly consistent. Nancy did not make confirmed contact after May 29, 1980. There were no reliable reports of her appearing at a relative's door. No verified communications that explained a delay. No documented confirmation that she safely started a new life elsewhere. This is one of the reasons the case has remained a cold case and an unresolved missing persons investigation for decades. Because when someone truly leaves voluntarily, there is often a trace, financial activity, confirmed travel, a quiet contact, a provable reappearance. In Nancy's case, the public record does not reflect that kind of trail. Over time, attention in the case increasingly focused on Wayne Craddock, not as a conclusion, but as a point of unresolved scrutiny. One detail that repeatedly surfaces in this cold case is that Wayne refused to take a polygraph in connection with Nancy's disappearance. A polygraph is not proof, and refusal alone does not establish what happened. But in an unresolved case, decisions like this become part of the long-term question list, because they leave investigators and family members without one more potential data point. Years later, Wayne petitioned to have Nancy declared legally dead, and she was declared legally dead in 1992. That legal step did not answer what happened. It did not resolve the disappearance. It simply formalized that she had been missing long enough to be presumed deceased under the law. Wayne later died in 2022, closing the door on any future direct clarification he might have provided. A major development in how this story is understood comes from Nancy's family itself. Two of Nancy's daughters believe their mother may have never left Ranchos de Taos on the night she disappeared. That belief challenges the long-standing framing that Nancy vanished somewhere between Amarillo and Dallas. It introduces a different possibility, that the disappearance occurred earlier than the airport narrative suggests, and that Nancy's true last known location may have been much closer to home. This matters because where a disappearance starts often determines what evidence is possible and who may have relevant information. Her daughters have not been passive observers of this case. They have been active in the search for Nancy, continuing to push for attention, clarity, and renewed investigative focus even after decades. Nancy Craddock's disappearance remains an unresolved missing person case from 1980, preserved through national databases and missing persons documentation that keeps cold cases visible. The case remains difficult because it contains multiple gaps that time has only widened, a limited public timeline, uncertainty around the travel sequence, no confirmed arrival in Dallas, and a family that continues to question whether the accepted narrative begins in the right place. But difficult does not mean hopeless. Cold cases are sometimes resolved when someone finally shares a detail they withheld, dismissed, or forgot. A small memory can become a key. A single fact can reframe an entire timeline. Nancy Craddock was 47 years old when she disappeared on May 29, 1980. She was expected to travel from Amarillo to Dallas and reunite with family. She never arrived, and the years that followed brought more questions than answers. This remains a cold case. This remains an unsolved disappearance. And for her daughters and loved ones, this remains a missing chapter that has never been returned. If you know something, even a detail that didn't seem important at the time, it could matter now. Because in unresolved missing persons cases, the truth is often hidden inside the smallest overlooked moments. Nancy Craddock's story is not finished. And until there are answers, her name still belongs in the light.
Thank you for watching Fatal Secrets of True Crime, Real Crimes, Hidden Truths, and the Secrets They Tried to Bury. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Your support helps keep these stories alive and the pressure on for answers. Till next time, remember, every secret eventually comes to light.